Hey guys, what's up? It's Kurotara.
Good to see you. How's it poppin'?
I've been away for a little bit. I missed you guys. Hopefully you missed me. Maybe not. But lately I've been playing some Crystal of Atlan, and I kind of wanted to give my take on the game at this point. It's been about 2 weeks. I kind of had time to really learn how things work.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
And be able to give what I would consider an educated, shouldn't say that, an experienced take on the game. Now going in, I remember hearing a lot of negative things that made me really iffy on whether or not I wanted to try the game. Given that I've gotten some time to experiment and experience things, I wanted to come back and kind of give my take on maybe if you were interested and you hadn't tried the game yet, or you hadn't seen a content creator that possibly talked about the game. You know, this could be a good take to kind of help you decide one way or the other. So I will start with probably the biggest complaint I initially heard about this game: the stamina system. So basically you start with 140 stamina. Your character has 140 stamina. You have access to, let's say, a total of 6 characters. You get to play as 5. You can unlock the 6th if you so choose, but you still get the stamina pool for that character. So totally throughout the day, across 5 characters, let's say 5, you have 140 times 5. I'm not gonna do the math right now. I don't feel like being that person. It is 700 though. But you have 700 active stamina to use, 140 per character. Now people have an issue because it's 140 on an individual, and not to mention doing the story takes stamina. However, from my take, story, you do it for like the first 3 days. It only takes about 3 to 4 days if you're really trying to kind of max a character, max level, being level 60, I mean to say. And once that's done, you get to allocate it in different ways. You get to farm dungeons, like the Void Realm dungeon. You get to farm Purgatory, which is how you primarily get your late game gear. And you get to farm things like the story mode and other things like Critical Conquest, which is something that you also unlock later. Now the other content tend to not require stamina. People tend to forget to mention that. Tempest Trial doesn't require stamina. Golden Fleece doesn't require stamina. Hex Chest Raid doesn't require stamina. Ancient Battlefield, and nor any of the guild related content. So it's really just the daily progression based things. Now another fun thing that you learn once you get to playing is once you have a character that's level 60, you get access to something called account stamina. Account stamina is an orange set of stamina. I'll put it up on screen here so you can get a chance to see. This is a secondary pool of stamina. It's kind of ridiculous sometimes. But the thing about this stamina that makes it not as good as the first is the fact that it has a more limited drop pool. So basically, if we were to take a look at any given content, let's take a look here. This would be the green stamina. This is class gear, the boss's insignia, drops to basically entry tickets for dungeons, all the good stuff. Then on the orange stamina, account stamina, notice all of the class gear is gone, just generic gear. It does retain the insignia, which is very valuable, as well as the entry tickets. So that's still pretty good, and you still get to farm your shards on orange stamina. So that's not something to worry about. But however, it is still more limiting than the green stamina. And when you're farming end game, it kind of does get annoying when you run out and you do not have access to that extra stamina. So I understand the complaint, but later on, it's not much of a complaint. Like I mentioned earlier, you get to use alts. Well, you should use alts, I would say. Alts tend to make things easier because that's a separate character that can help you farm. You can share gear and share drops between the alts to kind of supplement your account. It's a really nice thing to have them. And for anybody complaining about stamina, once you start utilizing your alts, you won't complain. So that kind of gives a general gist of how that works. The game mainly functions off of gold, so gold is farmable. Now, a really nice thing about the game is it kind of creates a tie between the pay-to-play and the free-to-play community, because you use a lot of gold when you play. Whether you're a pay-to-play player or a free-to-play player, use a lot of gold. And if you farm on multiple characters and you make a good bank a day, you can put it up for consignment, which is basically selling it. And someone with paid currency can buy your gold. In return, you get paid currency. So you can participate in things like the gacha, you can buy battle passes, whatever you want to do. And they get gold so that they can waste it on enhancement. There's a bit of bitterness there, guys. Trust me, you'll understand as we go along. But that's a thing. So that is how that goes. Gold exists, bound and unbound. Unbound is mainly used for trading and participating in the market. Bound gold is mainly used for like enhancement and essentially watching your money go down the drain. With that out the way though, let's talk about the gearing a little bit. So gearing wise, you have 10 pieces. I count 10? No, I meant 12. You have 12 pieces of equipment. You have your full left side, which is basically like armory, hat, chest, gloves, waist, boots, talisman. On the right side, you have your weapon, as well as your necklace, bracelet, ring, talisman, and your relic. These all give stats, obviously, and I wouldn't say they're very difficult to get, especially if you utilize alts. But it does take a bit of time investment to be able to obtain a full set. As well as these pluses that you see on them are the main crux of the game. So this is enhancement, right? So essentially gear can be enhanced from level 1 to plus 25. It's kind of wild considering I'm very geared, I would say, in the game, and I'm at only like 13s and 14s with a plus 18 weapon. Big yay on the plus 18, by the way. But the funny part of the system comes down when you start to progress through the enhancements. So essentially 1 to 10, no punishment. 1 to 10 is pretty easy to get through. Once you hit 10 to 15, you do have to do some back and forth on a 20% success rate to try to get to 15. If you go from 10 to 11, then you fail 11, you go back to 10, and this happens all the way to 15. But once you make it past that, you enter plus the what I like to call the fail-safe zone. So basically, you enter this mode where your weapon is no longer able to degrade past its current level, but you now have to get consecutive successes on attempting to imbue your weapon. So normally 15 to 17, you have to get 3 consecutive tries in a row. See this light? Great. Every time you succeed, you get 1 more. Every time you fail, you lose everything. You have to do it consecutively to get to this, and then once you hit that, you can attempt to upgrade your weapon, which is another chance of RNG. Unfortunate, it's annoying, but to be fair, it is nicer than 10 to 15 where you fail all the time. It just murders your gold. But it's something that I would consider a positive. And not only that, but the enhancements are transferable to other pieces of gear, which is actually really nice and why I do appreciate the enhancement system in this game, because see, you get to plus 18 or plus 13, 14, whatever right now, and another set of gear comes out, or you want to trade out some pieces for a different set, you can just transfer that via a flawless inheritance stone, which would be basically this. So this allows you to transfer the imbuement of your gear to another piece of gear. Really nice feature. Other than your equipment, however, you also have circuits, which are basically like gems that you imbue into your gear that have additional stats. They come with a main stat that come with a variety. Sometimes it's crit rate, crit damage, sometimes it's cooldown rates. It depends on the piece. Each piece has different set of stats that's locked to. And the bottom section would be the substats. These are random roll. It's not that big of a deal. It's less of a stress than the first layer. And it's kind of fun to roll. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy the circuits. But it's another layer of gearing that's freely accessible to everyone. I mean, everything is accessible to everyone, but it's just not as stressful as the first set. Then you also have what a lot of people would have their largest second complaint about, the cosmetic system. So the cosmetics do give stats. Let's get that out of the way. Now the thing about that is, remember, we discussed earlier, gold is tradable. So a free-to-play person can participate in the battle pass. They can participate in the gachas. Currently, the gachas are a costume gacha, pet gacha, and we just recently got a mount gacha. I would say the gachas are fairly reasonable, guys. So the gacha is set to a 60 pity for the what you call it? A 60 pity for the equipment, the outfits. Given outfits come in sets, so you kind of are going to have to gacha like 5 different pieces to put an outfit together. But to be fair, you actually don't need to have all of one set to get the bonuses active. You just need to have a set, like pieces on, and depending on the grade of the pieces on determines the level of outfit stats you get. So it's actually not that bad. And I would say most people have a lot of access to a lot of outfits in the game, so it's actually not that big of a deal. It's actually kind of nice. And you get to choose the thing you want to roll for. So if you choose, let's say for example, the Blessing of the Skybox, you automatically get the Blessing of the Skybox. If you choose this, you automatically get, you know, the Paradin Stars pack, whatever. So that's pretty nice when it comes to Brocade. Pet, however, you cannot choose. It's pretty much a pity of 150, and you get what you get. But to be fair, what you get is pretty nice at the top regardless of what you get. You get the pet. You do get this you do get this total summons tracker here, that you automatically also get one of the pets as a pity reward, you can see it as, or a step up. Yeah, step up would be a better word. And for pity, you do get one at 150. The banners last a long time. I think when I started it was like 84 days. So you have plenty of time to actually work on this, even if you're not someone who spends a lot. Mounts, we just got. Mounts give well, this is my mount here. So mounts do give a bit of stats, but it's not a lot. Basically for collecting them, you can get a you can get a list of stats as you collect more based on collecting points. Mounts are worth points. The more you collect, the further down you get to go, the more stats you get to get. Pretty much how it goes. Not that big of a deal. You do get a free mount in the beginning though. You get this one. Now if you guys want to see what it looks like without too much hassle here, let me see if I can slap this bad boy on. There you go. My base bum bike. So you do get a free mount, and it's really nice to have. It makes traveling around easier. You can use it in town, not necessarily in dungeons, but you can use it, however, in the PvE content that's still PvP based, like Ancient Battlefield and Mine Wars, things like that, where it's like a really large area you want to traverse. You can use it in those things. So that kind of gives you a decent idea of what the gearing and spending aspect of the game is like. Also, pets. Yes, pets. So yes, guys, that is a whale pet. If you know, you know. I want to say this too, but let's leave that alone for now. So anyways, pets. Pets, they do come with stats that get allocated to you for equipping them, and they also have skills of their own as well as passives. They're pretty useful. You're definitely going to be using and investing in them as you play, so that's something you should get used to. And yeah, fleet, that's your guild, right? A lot of benefits to being in a good fleet, guys. Make sure you find one. Mine Wars is something that you want to do daily, gives you a lot of good rewards, helps progress the guild along pretty well. Same thing for Spirit Frenzy, a lot of good rewards. Make sure you do it. Join Siege, pretty good. Make sure you do it when you can. They're not available all the time, but when they are, you should try to go. But it's definitely a lot to do, especially if you enjoy PvP style content. Speaking of PvP style content, let's touch on the PvP a little bit. So first of all, these would be character skills. A fairly good amount of them, along with some passives. You can kind of make a nice little build going on there. So the way that the combat system works in this game is you have skills that come with something called super armor. For those who don't know, super armor is the ability to not flinch when you are hit. So basically, there are different grades to super armor. There's weak armor and super armor. I'm sorry, weak armor, medium super armor, and super armor. So super armor would basically be true super armor. This comes in a very rare quantity. It only comes really on your ults and a few of your other more useful skills. But typically you'll be relying on mostly medium super armors, and weak super armors mostly come on range skills or gap closers to kind of give people a chance to properly counter them should they be prepared to deal with them. But countering super armor, we also have breaks. So we also have weak break and medium break. So what the breaks do is, corresponding to the type of armor that you're interacting with, you can break that person's armor. So if they enter medium armor by using a skill and you use something that has medium armor break, it basically flinches them. Same thing for weak, it flinches them. It's kind of, I don't want to say a rock paper scissors, but you end up guessing what your opponent's trying to do and you try to counter with, you know, your solution. The PvP also runs off of a stamina system, which, based on you using skills as well as attacking or jumping, it consumes stamina. So it kind of creates this tug-of-war-like effect during the match where being too aggressive can get you clapped, or being not aggressive enough can also get you clapped if the other person is utilizing their properties. So you kind of want to, matches tend to be a bit of a back and forth. And when you learn to play the game better, it's no longer such of a back and forth. You kind of can clap people. But to be fair, the game is pretty balanced. There are some ridiculous classes though, I'm not gonna lie. Starbreaker, you, Warlock, eat dick. Yeah. But to be fair, there is not that bad once you kind of get a hang of how to deal with them. You know, you kind of really do learn how to get around their skills, what skills have what armor, and how to avoid and interact with what you choose to interact with. So that's something you learn along the way. No stress. It takes a bit of learning. Me myself personally in PvP, I am currently Diamond 4. Not the highest, because you know that would be legendary, but nobody's making it there. Not with the requirement that they have. Right now I think it's like you need 9,999 points or something silly to get to legendary. But most people are currently aiming for master. Nothing really changes among the ranks other than the players you fight get better or worse. But that's just the nature of ranked. It is pretty fun though, guys. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of addicted. Send help. But PvP is actually pretty good. It's my favorite aspect of the game so far, honestly. And seeing the future content, I really look forward to some of the future classes. So overall, what do I think about the game so far? Well, for me, I've been playing for roughly 3 weeks, you could say, 3 to 4 weeks, I'm not sure. And I do have negative and positive opinions about the game. I think the scarcity in the game for certain things can be problematic and annoying. For example, the insignias. These are what you tend to use to kind of pull your build together. And as you can see, many times it's kind of a drought here because of how rare things are to drop. Given the game does kind of give out a lot of reward access to some of these, so it's not that bad. It's just that end game you kind of do need a lot of them, and often you will not have access to many. However, if you do have a friend that does want to trade one or does want to sell you one, if they let you know where they're gonna put it up, you can kind of like coordinate a snipe and you can get it that way, or you can keep an eye out stalking the market like I typically do. I live here, this is my home. I need to set up shop and pay rent, but as I was mentioning, yeah, it's kind of scarce, but for the most part it does kind of keep things regulated, because things would progress insane rate if we were able to kind of have as much access as we would like. So it's a complaint, but at the same time I understand why it's kind of so scarce right now. No biggie. Plus as more insignias come out down the line, it kind of clears up. Yeah, so as far as that, there's insignias. The insignia scarcity, that's a bit of a little problem to me. Gearing isn't so bad. I believe I mentioned earlier the equipment and plussing it up. You can transfer pluses. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but if I didn't, you can transfer pluses to future sets. So for example, if we worked on a set right now and we have all these pluses, we don't want to do this pluses again because we have a plus 18 weapon and we just kind of like sold our soul to make this happen. We don't have to abandon it for a new set. We can actually use something to transfer the plus over to a different equipment, as well as the insignias and stuff imbued in it, which is actually really nice. So that's not something to worry about. Time investment in this game kind of is rewarding. You don't just invest and toss away your progress for the next thing, you kind of carry it over, so that's pretty nice. As time goes on, I'm not sure how that's going to hold up for like the next set of gear afterwards and so on, but as for currently, yes, you can transfer your pluses to another set of gear and keep your progress going that way, so that's pretty good. So far I think that's a decent rundown on the game. I've been having a lot of fun on Crystal of Atlan. I think the game did get kind of a rough rap in the beginning, and for anyone who's on the fence, I can tell you, give it to like level 60. Give it to level 60 on one character. Then you'll kind of have somewhat of an idea of what you want to do, like whether you want to play the game or not, because it's just one of those things where the landscape of what the gameplay is like changes once you hit end game. And for me, it's actually really fun. It's actually really rewarding. It's really rewarding to imbue my gear, as frustrating as it can be, and as much as I watch my gold just evaporate. It is still pretty fun, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it should they give it a try. PvP is honestly really good and a great place to take out some of that aggression from getting screwed over during imbuement. So I think it's something worth trying. If you're someone who enjoys progression, great, it's a game for you. If you're not and you live by that free-to-play life and you just hate the existence of anyone who spends money on a game they enjoy, then maybe this won't be the game for you. But beyond that, that was my rundown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our little chat, and I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.